break. We'll be right back at you right after this. Mac and Free, but our names are not important. Mac and Free back at you again, but our names are not important. That is, hey man, we're getting into the entertainment segment of the show, and this was an album that was released recently from, a couple brothers that a lot of people don't know. Name of the group is called Ilpo. And the album is, I've always told them, I don't know how y'all haven't gotten a record deal to this point, but they have dropped some of the most fire albums I've ever heard. And that's not me touting somebody out there, because there are other people that I know personally that are a lot closer to me than them. You don't hear me talking about their albums because they're not worth talking about. But between them and my man Jay Wallace, Black Rain, like they drop some of the most fire music, and they don't get talked about enough. So I wanted to toss that out there, man. There's Black Rain Productions just dropped The Commission. Ilpo just dropped Mercy Rule. Listen,
hey,
you get your hands on them, you should get them.
Yeah, and that's big too, because you hope that during this time where everybody's even more locked into social media and honestly, this is a good time to be shopping your music.
It is.
People are looking for something new, looking for new things during this time. So shout outs to both of those artists, man, and good music, man. And I know they're gonna do big things, and I hope, at this time it can uplift somebody, give them something new to bop their heads to and get them through this time.
Yeah, absolutely, man. But tell you what got us through the 80s and the 90s were the best black TV shows on earth. So when you think about the best black TV shows, what's the first show that comes to your mind?
Of course, The Cosby Show. Man. Cosby Show was that deal. If you're talking about on the maximum. But for me personally, the first show I remember ever loving and enjoying was Sanford and Son.
Yeah. I think The Cosby Show was the most important show to black people. Like, that was, I don't think a lot of people understand how important that is to black people, because when you start talking about a community that the majority of its community lives in poverty, you can't see the forest because you're staring at the tree. And what I mean by that is, if everything immediately in front of you all looks the same, you can't tell there's a forest standing behind it. All you can see is the tree. And for black communities in the 90s, particularly myself, even when I was growing up, and I've shared this story with you, Jamil Woods, Henry Smith, and I'm saying there's like people in the audience that are going to be listening to me know who these people are. But these are people we played basketball with in high school. They became good friends of ours, still are good friends of ours to this day now. But they didn't grow up in the same neighborhood that I grew up in. So when I was watching The Cosby Show, it seemed all fictional to me until one day Jamil was like, "Hey man, you want to spend the night at my house?" And I was like, "Cool. I love oodles and noodles, stuff like that." Like, I didn't know that's what I didn't know what we was gonna do. Like, they do breakfast as a family at their house. I didn't know that I was gonna be walking in that kind of environment. But you go to that neighborhood, and they're in a neighborhood that I've never seen before. And all the houses are 2 stories. They're all about 3,000 square feet. There's plenty of room for everybody to move. And it's like, man, like this is a lot of room. It's like you pull up, it's like, hey man, I thought we was going to somebody's house, man. You didn't tell me you was taking me to court. We're at the courthouse. We had the big columns on the front. Like, it was different. But The Cosby Show was showing black America that, and I didn't understand it until I went and saw other black Americans living that way. And then it was like, oh shoot, no, this is actually attainable. And honestly, it was instrumental for me because it changed the way I viewed the world at that point. So it was And that's why I say the Cosby Show was the most important one for black people. And I think that one kind of like the argument with LeBron, Jordan, and Kareem, like it sits on the shelf. I know Bill Cosby raped some women, but that doesn't mean what did Dave Chappelle say? He saves, but he rapes. It's kind of the same, and that's the point he was trying to make. Like, we know Bill Cosby has done some heinous things, but that show itself was instrumental in a completely different way, and that's the most important. When I think about some of the best, like, man, Sanford and Son is the very first one that comes to mind, because those shows are still funny, and they didn't even run into the 80s. People don't even realize that. Like, they stopped in 77. It was only on for 5 seasons. So Sanford and Son is another one. The Jeffersons was another one. Moving on up, and they were explaining that even when you're rich, the only thing you can afford in New York is a 2-bedroom apartment. That is insane.
Yeah, they were telling you there, like, no, this is it. But at least they had a doorman. But
speaking of which, have you seen, like, what's the name of the show? The Daily Show?
No, I haven't. Not in a while.
Trevor Noah, who makes a significant amount of money. I'm gonna look that up to see exactly what Trevor Noah.
I always get clips of it, but I watch ever since he took off.
So Trevor Noah's net worth is $30 million, and when right now they're filming the Today Show or the Daily Show with Trevor Noah in his apartment. It's like, wait a minute. He makes $30 million and he still lives in an apartment? Oh, man, that is the last place on earth I would move if that's all you get for $30 million. $30 million will buy you a quarter block in North Carolina. Like, you would own half of downtown Charlotte, Raleigh, and Greensboro with $30 million. $30 million? Like, man, these places are too expensive.
But you gotta realize, in bigger cities like Manhattan and stuff, those are called penthouses. So
I know, but still,
play Monopoly. You know how much it costs if you landed on Boardwalk. Don't play like
you're absolutely right. But check this out. I can tell you a story where I was in downtown Raleigh, and I had to do a walkthrough for these penthouses they sell in downtown Raleigh. Like, they sell them. And they had some size to them. But I can tell you now that in this area, there's nowhere in the world you get me to spend $350,000 for a penthouse apartment when I can go buy a 3,400 square foot house in the same city. There's no way. Now, it may be different in New York. All I'm saying is I'll never be moving to New York. That's all I'm saying. Not after seeing these prices. And it also helped me understand this other thing. I see why now those people move here, because it's so expensive to live there. Like, no way, no how, insane. Couldn't do it.
In the membrane.
Can't do it. But even with that being said, we got to do it again.
Let's go. I'm ready.
One's got to go. It's between these TV shows. Fresh Prince, Martin, The Cosby Show, Sanford and Son, The Jeffersons, and A Different World. And for all of you who are asking why we chose 6, it's because we couldn't. Again, tell them again, Dave Chappelle.
I can only choose one. I can only choose one.
We couldn't leave out some of these shows that we just named, so we went with 6 on this one. Free?
Well, I'm going to say this. Even though I would miss the shuffle and the boogie, I'd have to say Sayonara to the Jefferson Cleaners, man. I'd have to. King George, I think I would have to get rid, because in Red Fox, Sanford & Son, I See My Dad. We used to call him Fred G. Yeah. He was a mixture of him and then him and Bill Cosby of the Cosby Show, and then the Cosby Show was just the epitome of black excellence in TV. The show,
yeah.
Martin was just ahead of his time,
way ahead of his time.
All those characters he brought changed the game because you could relate. You either had a cousin, uncle, or somebody from the neighborhood that reminded you of either Jerome or Dragonfly Jones or somebody. Fresh Prince, that was just when hip hop hit the main scene and that culture, and so that was just different because it was like now you see the people we like, him, Martin, they about the same time they hitting. It was just okay. Our cultures and it's now we can see it on TV. The younger generation, man, and then Sanford and Son, like I say, and then Different World. Like if that didn't make folks want to go to college, I don't know what did.
But it actually helped peak the African American enrollment for colleges. That show did. So it was also a very important show, and that was the reason why it had to make the list. Like we couldn't keep it off the list for that reason because it was another important show. See, Bill Cosby is very instrumental to the black culture, but he rapes. We gotta keep that in mind. Look, we're not laughing at the fact that he rapes, but that was. I'm sorry, that was a funny bit by Dave Chappelle. I'm sorry. It was just he saves, but he rapes, and it puts you in a quandary because it's like we saw what R. Kelly does. This is a different subject, but it's still in entertainment and music, so I'll go there. But we completely tossed out R. Kelly, for what he was doing, and that was with children. But at the same time, although R. Kelly may have given you some nostalgia, he didn't bring you anything that was like, man, this was like super instrumental for the culture itself. And so it was easy to kind of toss him off the boat. But with Bill Cosby, like that was, it's harder to do, but man, like he was really a part of some stuff that was extremely instrumental to the culture, and it's a shame that he turned out to be the heinous individual that he is. But hey, man, you have to learn that sometimes. It doesn't matter. And please trust me, audience. What I've just said before this was all tongue in cheek. Nothing cool about what Bill Cosby did, and he deserves to be where he is. If indeed he is guilty of it, and from my understanding, he was found guilty of those things. So Bill Cosby exactly is where he should be. But to answer my question, if one's got to go, honestly, for me, it's going to be A Different World.
What?
It's got to go. If I got to choose one, it's not as easy as I made it sound, but here's the thing. All of these shows still run reruns. Different World's the last one I would break my neck to watch. That's basically what it came down to for me. Like out of every single one of these shows, A Different World falls last on my list that I break my neck to watch now. And it has the least amount of monumental episodes that I remember from the show. Like, all right, so from the Cosby Show, for example, I like monumental shows. Denise made that shirt for Theo, and it was terrible. So that was one of the monumental ones. Then there was what's Tempest? I actually remember her real name, and Vanessa brought over her fiance. That episode was pretty funny. Like you remember that one very plainly. Fresh Prince had the father episode. He had the episode with BVD in the living room. Martin, Jesus Christ. Like we'll go on and on. Him fighting the big rat. Then you got Jerome. Then you got Don't You Know No Good. You got all of that. Sanford and Son. You got the monumental episode where he doesn't know or his best friend comes into town to try to claim Lamont as his son. You got that episode.